got it. We are going to talk about two things that seem to have absolutely nothing to do with habit. And yet, in the research that I've done, I found that they are absolutely key. We're going to talk about, let me get myself cued here. All right. We're going to talk about the brains of, okay, don't roll your eyes, sleepwalkers. All right. Why? Because it turns out that neurologists have found a distinction, just a slight distinction, between sleepwalking, that's people who actually get up and leave their beds and start acting out based on their dreams, all right, and sleep terrors and habits. So when sleep terrors occur, it's a little bit different. It still is a non full conscious brain activity, which is also what habituated habits are. But when sleep terrors occur, the person's brain activity is quite different from when they're awake or semi-conscious, or even sleepwalking. But they're still in the same family, which is why I want you to know about this, okay? People in a state of sleep terrors seem to be like majorly anxious. They're in a state of extreme anxiety, all right? Hence the term sleep terrors, okay? But actually, they're not dreaming, all right? Neuroscientists say that their brains have actually shut down. Your brain is active when you're dreaming, but their brains have shut down, except for a very small, very primitive neurological region of the brain, which is called the central pattern generators. Remember that term, central pattern generators. You have central pattern generators in your brain. I have central pattern generators in my brain. And that's what sleep terrors, sleepwalking, and habits, which we have been belaboring over the last 3 podcasts, focus on, okay? So these very small areas of the brain are the same ones that were studied by MIT. And MIT's findings were that the neurological pattern, remember we've talked before about hormonal influence on neurological patterns in our brain. All right, are you ready for this? Those neurological patterns are the habit loop. The very same habit loop that we've been talking about. What are the 3 component parts? Somebody please tell me you remember the 3 component parts for the habit loop. The cue or trigger, the routine or behavior, and the reward or conclusion. Cue, routine, reward. That's the habit loop. All right. We all have it. Nobody is exempt. There is no habit you have that is not part of a cue, a routine, an established routine, habituated usually, and the reward. We are not the victims of the cue. I want you to understand that. Your feelings, your thoughts, we are not the victim of that. We are always searching for good. Your brain, your system is always searching for good. I am searching for the reward. Always. As unlikely as that seems with some of our habits, we are all out after the reward, okay? Which is why today we're going to look a little further at the brains of, sleepwalkers, and the brains of those experiencing sleep terrors. There is something to be learned, important, because there is a connection, and it's an interesting one, all right? In the grip of a sleep terror are habits, but the habits aren't sort of like your habits and my habits. They're not a lot different either, but they're not exactly the same. Those habits in sleep terrors are of the most primal kind. They are called altogether now central pattern generators. All right. And they prompt common behavioral patterns like things we do every single day, things like walking, breathing, flinching when we hear a loud noise, and our stress responses: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. So in a sleep terror, more likely, all right, it's fighting an attack from some form of predator. Now, we don't usually think about these behaviors as habits, sleep terrors, and the acting out of sleep terrors, but scientifically they are habits. They are automatic habits, so ingrained in our neurology that studies show they come from that very high region of our brain. All right, so they are primal. All right, however, these habits, when they occur during sleep terrors, differ in one critical way. Because sleep itself deactivates the prefrontal cortex of your brain, the executive function part of your brain deactivates that. And along with some other, we won't go into it, we're not going to be brain surgeons, other high cognition areas. When a sleep terror habit is triggered, there is, and legally this has been established, all right, there is no possibility of conscious intervention. In a sleep terror, no. People have been found innocent of murder, all right, because they could establish they were in a state of sleep terror. So if the fight or flight habit is cued by a sleep terror, there's no chance that someone can override it through logic or reason. People with sleep terrors aren't dreaming in the normal sense. Now you're probably asking yourself, why is she going on and on about sleep terrors? We're going to pull it together a little later on, okay? Neurologists say there is no complex plot. Now in a dream, there's a plot. Sometimes it's a zany one, but there's a plot. And there's a storyline. Not so with sleep terrors. No complex plot involved. We do remember our nightmares, our dreams. However, what we remember from a nightmare, okay, is anything after maybe just an image or an emotion or kind of a compelling overriding sensation. Things like impending doom, severe fear, just without the storyline, the need to defend ourselves or someone else. All right, so those emotions are so powerful that most actually, become basic cues for the behavior that is carried out in a night terror. So we have all overlearned actually, breathing, sleeping, communicating, all right? And we've all overlearned responding to various levels of threat. We've done that from the time we were knee-high to a grasshopper, all right? So those stress responses, we've overlearned those as well. Fight, flight, feign, or freeze, all right, is something each and every one of us, you, me, have done, all right? And when these emotions that are prompted by fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, or a threat to us, when these emotions occur and there's no chance for the higher brain to put things in a context, which night terrors is true of night terrors, we react the way our deepest habits tell us to. And we do the same thing when we automatically engage in a habit, okay? We run, we fight, we freeze, or we feign, or we follow whatever behavioral pattern is easiest for our brain to access and to act upon. Do you remember I said our mind, our body, our spirit is always working for us. And when we habituate any behavior, all your brain is an assessor. What is true about the nature of this situation that we face? It could be washing dishes. It could be anything. It could be decluttering. What is true about this situation? What has her or his most common choice been in the past? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, we'll do that. That's all your brain does. It chooses from your baseline behaviors, the most common baseline behaviors. So we really want to be careful what we habituate, right? Because we could be unconsciously habituating something that hasn't worked in the past, has no chance of working in the future. So watch it. That's why I asked you last week, please just scan yourself for what are your cues, observe your routine, and then see if you can identify the reward that was satisfying enough that you would consider going back and making that same choice. I hope people did that. That is an invaluable, small, simple exercise to putting the key in the lock and doing what you come here to do. You're in search of that, and that is finding the answers for yourself. So when we follow whatever behavioral pattern is easiest for our brain to access and act upon, we do it for one purpose. We do it to satisfy the urge caused by the feeling being experienced. All right. Sleepwalking seems to allow some choices and some participation of other parts of our brain, which tell us to stay away from danger. All right. So sleepwalking, that form of behavioral habituation, has a safety valve as part of it. Someone in the grip of sleep terrors, however, simply follows the habit loop. Are you a little like, in some ways, someone in a sleep terror? Are you just automatically not asking your system to go in search of other options, and all you're doing is performing a behavior that follows the habit loop? Wouldn't you want to know that? You don't need brain surgery to do it. You have the ability. That tiny experiment that I asked you to run last week, if you didn't do it, write it down now. That little experiment is your best friend to unlocking who you are. You are unique. Our rewards are unique to us. What would be thrilling to me, all right, would not be thrilling to you. An example, a silly example, because all the examples in our life are simple. For me, if somebody said, would you rather have a steak for dinner? Or would you rather have steel-cut oatmeal with sliced almonds, dried cranberries, and pumpkin seeds, and a little almond milk to make it like a soup? Which would you rather have? Habit loop. I would always want the steel-cut oatmeal. Who knows why? Okay, we form habits. What are your habits, and do you know them? No matter, here's the key thing. When we're on automatic pilot and we feel the cue, but we don't really look at it to understand it. We go into whatever the routine is in search of the reward. When we just loop like a buffering screen, no matter where it leads, we follow it when we're on automatic pilot. Okay, so the causes of night terrors aren't well understood. They had some theories. It wasn't worth our time to talk about it, okay? as I've tried to demonstrate through this podcast, and habits, even once they're rooted in our minds, are not our destiny. They're not our destiny. Don't say that a habit you have is just who you are. It isn't. It's who you're choosing to be. It is a choice. And the more you make that, you perform that habit and you make that choice, the more you identify with it, only because it's familiar. All right. So just thought of a metaphor. When you were a baby, did you look the way you look now? Have you changed in many ways? Are you still you? Are you still the person you were born? Okay, it's the same thing with habits. It's the same thing with habits. All right. When we choose our habits, all right, once we know how, everything we know about habits from neurologists studying amnesiacs, these are people who can't remember their habits, is that any habit can absolutely be changed, but only, it's not magic. It's not neuroscience. You don't need to have a post-grad degree. All right. It's only if you understand how they function for you. So let's move forward and figure that one out. Okay. So each habit you and I have has a different cue, a different trigger. All right. Think of a habit right now. Take a minute and think of a habit right now that is pretty prime for you. When you've got a habit, just go down to the reaction thing and put a thumbs up. I'm going to wait because I really want you guys to do a little work today, not just listen to me talk. Got quite a few. We got some people there in the middle, haven't got their habits figured out. Just any habit, a common habit. Okay. Now, when you're thinking of that habit, I want you to go back a half step and I want you to think, what was the last time that I engaged in that habit? Take a second and think about it. Now, see if you can identify what triggered you. What was the cue? Time for that behavior again. That's my best choice. Got it? How many people have it? I don't want to go faster than you guys. How many people? You engaged in a habit. You have a habit. Last time you engaged in it, what was the pre-cue? What was the cue or the trigger? It can be a good habit too. Doesn't have to just be bad. All right, now, okay, we've got a few thumbs up. Okay, some people are working at this. Thank you, because I do a lot of work to bring this to you, and I want you to do more than listen. All right, I want you to chew on it. I want you to digest it. I want you to use it. So now, stay in that habit. Okay, we got the cue. All right, what were you looking for as a result of that habit? What were you in search of? Sometimes it's simple. Was it relief? Was it progress? Was it happiness? Was it satisfaction? Was it sugar? Okay, what was it? What was it? Okay, because that cue is irrevocably connected to that reward. We'll call that your unique reward. And it's different for different people. What satisfies and thrills you is about you. It isn't about the habit. It isn't about the habit. It's about you. And that reward has to be satisfying enough or you don't do it. Now, I can't say this strongly enough, okay? Some rewards are simple and others are very complex. They all, however, all of them draw upon emotional triggers. And they all offer very subtle, and we've talked about this ad infinitum before, neurochemical rewards. Get that little, okay, that's not happening in your mind. It's registering in your mind, but it is coming from your system. You're being sent happy juice. You're being said, ooh, do that one again. All right. It's happy juice. Neurochemical rewards. Something I call little jolts of joy or satisfaction. How many people here have never had a little jolt of joy or have never found something that satisfies them? Thank heavens there are no fingers up. Okay. But every habit, no matter how simple or how complex, is malleable. It's like Play-Doh. It's like plasticine. It can be modified. It can be shaped into any form we want and need. It is within our power and ability. I promise you, it is not hard. It's hard work. But once you commit to knowing yourself, what you're looking for when that cue happens, and go in search of an even better little jolt of joy and happy juice, something that is productive for you. All right. Habits are modifiable. But they have absolute requirements, irrevocable requirements. You must decide to change it. Just like I said to you earlier at the beginning of the podcast, I have no idea how I'm going to pay that shipping, but I have decided, come hell or high water, all right, which is my mother's expression. I hope there's no hidden meaning there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find the way. I don't know right now. It is like, yeah, it's like a blank page, but I'm going to do it. And I'm not moving a mountain. I'm going to ask for the help I need. I'm going to ask for the support I need from the right people, not keep coming back to you lovely people who helped with the devices. All right. I've decided it's going to happen. We didn't do all this work. You, in this habit, in this search for why you're here every week, I'm happy to see you. Thrilled to see you, in fact. Look forward to seeing you. However, what are you looking for? What is it you need? And right now, how many people are prepared to decide without knowing how that they're going to get it? Their habits are more habits, particularly the ones that get in the way or that end up with less than satisfying outcomes. One at a time, guys. We've got your name on it. You're going to decide to mold them, to change them. Okay. And you must decide that consciously. It does not happen because you feel good. All right. Because deciding puts you in a mind state that whether you have an easy path or you hit the wall, you find your way around the wall. Blind sometimes. You have to consciously accept the work that is involved. And that work is what I asked you to do last week, just a little tiny bite of it. Identify the cues. Identify the triggers. You're jumping forward with the behavior, the routine. Put yourself on pause for a second. The next time you think, just something simple. Having a cup of coffee. What's the routine? Oh, I need coffee. It's habituated, or tea, or whatever. Pick something simple to start. How many of you did any of the homework last week? Can I see some fingers up? 2 fingers. Okay. How many people are going to do it this week? Come on, people. Come on. It will take you maybe half an hour of thinking. Do it with a glass of wine. Do it with a coffee. Do it in the bath. I don't care. Do it in the hot tub if you have one. Cue, routine, reward. You already know what the routine is, and it's not working for you. The cue doesn't have to change. It's not going anywhere. It is the way you respond and what you respond to. That's not going to change. It doesn't have to. Good, bad, or indifferent trigger. Cue. Cue, trigger, same word. The reward is unique to you. It doesn't have to change either. If you do this, get better at this, the value of the reward will actually become better. You'll get more of the little jolt of joy, the happy juice. All that has to be molded, not entirely changed. Find out where you tripped on the step in the routine. Pick something simple. All right. You have to consciously identify the associated reward. A cue, each cue is in search of a unique reward for you. This is not beyond your ability to figure out, because the trigger is what you're responding to, the cue, okay, or trigger. The reward is what will give you, as an individual, as a person, that little jolt of joy, that happy juice. Okay, what are you looking for? Let's make sure you get it. So, I want you to more consciously identify the associated reward or rewards attached to various cues or triggers that you receive in your environment throughout your day, because it is the reward, the compilation of rewards, big, small, not life changers maybe, that drive the specific habit. The habit is the routine. And if it isn't getting you where you want and need to be, it is the routine that needs changing, not the cue, and perhaps not the reward. They cue, reward, associated. Routine sounds like it's not working for you with that habit, okay? And when we want to change a habit, then the cue, I promise you this works. When we decide and want really to change a habit, the cue, which remains constant, will then go in search of, and on your behalf, find alternatives to that unproductive routine, that unproductive old routine or habit. The Q will do it for you, but you have to put the power of decision, of commitment behind that. All right. You have to believe. You have to be brave enough to believe that you have the ability to exert enough, not absolute control, but enough control. And even if you've got other disorders, depression, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, trauma, whatever it is, all that means is you need to go a little slower and you need to engage in really sound personal support, self-care. You just stretch it out over a longer. This doesn't happen in an instant. Timetable depends on you. Stretch it out. You get distracted, come back to it. Where was I? Okay, come back to it. Make it work for you. All right. But you have to believe that you have the ability to exert not absolute control, but enough control to be self-aware. Who else is going to be able to be as aware of you, your feelings, your preferences, your vulnerabilities, your challenges, the wonder that is each and every one of you and me? All right? The thing that makes you special and unique. You just need to believe that you can exert enough control and be self-aware enough to use that information the Q is going to offer you about alternatives. All right. So I belabored the homework last week enough. We will move on. All right. All right. Almost all other patterns in our behavior that exist in our lives, like eating, sleeping, communicating, how we unthinkingly spend our time, all right, devote attention, give our attention, our energy to, our money. Once you understand and experience making small changes happen, at least please this week give yourself one simple thing to be self-aware about and to follow the advice I'm giving you now and make one small change happen. Once you understand and you have the experience of it, then you'll have a whole lot more confidence in yourself. All right? A whole lot more confidence in yourself. People, not many people who legitimately are confident, sometimes, I suspect it's sometimes kind of arrogance when people haven't actually put the work into it, but they claim to be confident. And we know that there are enough of those kind of people. When you are truly confident, it's because you've stumbled, fallen, got back up, and prevailed on one small thing at a time. It's because you've done it, not because you were born with it, not because you are one bit different from who you are. You don't need to be any different than who exactly you are today to do this. All right. And when you start making very small changes happen, that's how you develop the confidence in yourself that other habits that maybe cost you more, deprive you of the rewards and the satisfaction you want and need, that they can also change. All right. And that you have what it takes to remake and rebuild any habit that is in your way. It's kind of what I demonstrated. And I promise you that video is coming probably within about 3 weeks. You're going to see me raw. All right. Where was that brick? Okay. Over and over and over again. Have to recollect. And I'm not any different from you. I've never done this. And I'm not wonderful. I'm not anything more than you are. or I'm not. But just exercise this pattern. Stand back, regroup, okay? Regroup and do things like after the first trek, I lay in bed as I went to bed that night and thought, how do I get out of trek number 2 and 3? How do I get out of it and save face? I wonder if there's a way to do that. Right? Because trek number 1 was a come to truth moment with myself, I have to tell you. All right. You know what I did? It's not a mystery. It's not anything. I said, when was the last time you did that or something like it? No, that was in short supply. And my brain went, she's looking for something. Okay, what's the situation here? Unfamiliar. Oh, not entirely unfamiliar. Wait a minute. We've done a gorilla trek. What did she do? What did she do? Oh, yeah. Okay, there it is. Went up and pulled it down. And I said to myself, Elaine, all you have to do is contain the parameters. All right. Don't try trekking up 1,400 meters again in the blazing sun on ground that has no footing. What do you need? You can go distance. You need shade. You need cool. And you can do it because you did this. You need the help of the porters to keep you level so you don't end up coming back on that darn sedan chair with a broken ankle again for the 3rd time. All you need to do, Elaine, is keep going. Contain the parameters so when I got up, I had fear in my heart for that 2nd trek. But what I did was I represented myself. I said, I can't be in the blazing sun. So if there are other treks here, I cannot be in the blazing sun. I cannot be climbing 1,400 meters with asthma. All right. I can walk a long distance. I know that because I've proven it. And I need my porters. I need good, solid porters who aren't kind of somewhere else in their head, helping me make sure that when I'm putting that left foot down in particular, I'm solid. That's what I need. And the rest, if I could do that 1st trek, which was supposed to be easy, but not for me, then I can do it. I can do the 2nd one. We will see. I don't commit to the 3rd. I've paid for it, but I don't commit to that until I know what this other variety of the trek is going to be. And I was insistent. All right. There were lots of treks to choose from. And they hooked me up with a different trek. All right. And the 3rd day, except for that 500 meters straight up, I don't even want you to see that part of the video. At one point, I threatened to kill somebody. Not anybody specific. All right. But there is a face. There is a face there. I watched it in the plane last night as I was on the tarmac with Air Canada for 2.5 hours. The plane had one problem after another. Anyway, I had plenty of time to look at the video and I was like this. And the reason I was like that was because I was biting back what I wanted to say, which was being videoed. And I thought, when you look at this, Elaine, what are you going to be happy you said and did? And I thought, I can't pull that one out of a hat. We are short of rabbits here to pull out of hats. I can just keep my mouth closed and say nothing. And that facial expression, I think you're going to find very communicative. What can you do to help you remake and rebuild whatever the habit is? And the only option left for you, the only option left for me, is to get to work and do it. Do you believe right now? And we're not talking about a life-changing habit. We're talking about that little habit that maybe you wrote at the beginning of the podcast. Do you believe that it is possible, if you have the right resources, the right information, that you can change it? How many people? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yeah. Come on, everybody. Come on, you don't come here just to hear my lovely voice. You come here to get information that fills in the gaps. Come on, you can do it. Pick one thing. It doesn't have to be a biggie. We start with the little things. All right? We start with the little things and we commit to the next step. And we catch our breath. And we commit to the next step after that, and we catch our breath. We regroup, we remind ourselves of every other success that we've had, and we take the next step. We're not sailing along here like it's a breeze. It's not a breeze. But you know what? It is infinitely doable. All right. Do you believe that you can change a habit, remold it, somehow adapt it? Okay, because believing it and running those little tiny experiments, that's the best way to making change. Particularly, let's start with the smallest unproductive habit you have that is real, okay? Then as we change those tiny ones, better habits also become real, because the cue, when you commit and you say, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have the answer, but I know I can. This is doable. The cue then is going to help you. It's going to go out in search of alternatives that work better for you than the last routine that led you where you didn't want to be. The more you repeat the change of the habit, the more powerful the change of the habit becomes. Okay, here's what may be an uncomfortable and inconvenient truth. Okay, are you ready for this? I want you to write this one down. I want you to write this one down. Everybody ready? I almost choked when I read this on Habits, the Habits book, okay? The Power of Habits. But it's so true. Took my breath away. Our habits are what we choose them to be. Our habits are what we choose them to be. And once the choice is acted upon enough, it becomes automatic, which was a repeat choice of ours. And the more we do that, repeat the automatic habit, the behaviors, the routine, that automatic habit routine, it begins increasingly to feel real. And as it begins to feel real, it begins to feel and then becomes unpleasantly normal, because we chose it. That was what we put our money down on. If we had worked at the cue and the trigger stage in search of a better reward, or the true reward that we want, we'd done a little bit of work up front and not settled for same routine or similar routine. If we'd done that little bit of work preemptively, we wouldn't be feeling normal. We wouldn't be habituating. It even when we've done it often enough, even unproductive things that didn't allow you the reward you were working for repeatedly, it even starts to feel, you're ready for this one. How many people? How many people here? It even begins to feel inevitable. Inevitable. The things that draw us irresistibly toward what we choose to be, the things that draw us irresistibly because we've normalized them, only because we've normalized them, not because they are good enough, not because that's what we're capable of. We got better at it because we repeated it. The things that draw us irresistibly toward what we choose is what we choose to be our destiny. Are the ways we habitually think about our surroundings and ourselves. We create the world that each and every one of us lives in. We create it in large part. We do. Because even when negative things happen, recovery is possible. Readjustment is possible. Loss is possible to work through. All right. So that's pretty profound and pretty heavy. But I just want to end this podcast on a funny little story. So Charles, I can't even pronounce his last name. I think it's Duhigg, the author of The Power of Habits, tells an innocuous little story. All right. But the story is very illustrative of the truth, I believe. Okay. And the truth for every one of us, despite the fact that we're not fish, all right, as the story's about fish. So here goes. Okay, somewhere there are two little young fish swimming along in the water, and they happen to meet an older fish. Now, the older fish is going the other way. He's swimming upstream the other way. The older fish nods at the young fish and says to them, "Morning, boys. How's the water?" And the two little fish look at each other, nod, and they swim on a bit. Then one of them looks at the other and says, "What in heaven's name is water?" Okay. The truth is that the water is like our habits. Habits are unthinking choices. By the time they're habits, we're not thinking about them. All right. They are unthinking choices. And invisible. When we've done it often enough, when we've habituated them, they are invisible decisions that surround us every single day. And just by being willing to look at them, a la homework, they can become visible again. I'm hoping that this podcast and the past 3 have given all of us the information for each and every one of us in our own unique ways to know how to redirect our path. You now know how to redirect your path. And you now know that you have the power and the ability to do it. Okay. So on that note, we are going to end for today. I would like, however, for people to take a minute and in the chat box, put topics that you feel are instrumental for you to know more about, to learn about, vis-a-vis the habit or habits you want to change. So just take a minute. I'm going to leave the chat box open for, say, 5 minutes. And if you could do that, then that will be the beginning of the path we take. And I research, if it isn't specifically tied to hoarding behavior, I will research it and bring it to you, because, and hoarding behavior, a la clutter behavior, a la not where I want to be in my life behavior. Okay. I've got one. Somebody's just added one. 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. Come on, you can do it. We have, how many people here? How many people do we have here? We have 32 people here. 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12. Come on, you can do it. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's probably enough for a good start. Okay. Yeah, no, 20. Okay. Oh, 21. All right. I see you next week, everyone, and maybe I'll have even more good news for you. Anyway, you take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're
Amazing.
I just added one.
Okay.
Elaine, I just added one.
Okay,
It
that's
took me a
great.
while to write it.
Not to worry.
I'm a
I'm
faithful student,
That's okay.
fighting for my life here.
Okay. It's okay.
Elaine,
Thank you.
Yes.
could you mention?
Thank you.
Could you mention again about at the beginning about what was happening with the shipping costs? I missed that, unfortunately.
Okay. So I've got almost all of the devices. I'm prepared, my business, personally, to cover whatever the gap is between the devices donations. But the shipping, there are going to be 5 cartons that go, and I will be contacting some of the and I have contacted and will be recontacting some of the people who are recovering financially from COVID, namely the lodge owners and people who might have some ability to contribute. The shipping from China to Uganda is probably going to be upwards of $5,000. Yeah, and because we need insurance as well.
Okay.
And even though the UPS store here in Ottawa, a lovely man named Salim, even though he has donated, get this, $1,000 toward whatever those costs are, at a certain point, and the benefit is that they're Canadian dollars. So if it turns out though that would be, it's going to be like upwards of $5,000 for sure. And the other part of it is that Danny Yang, who is our Wanderlust sales manager from Pigeon Medical, he offered, it's not his job at all, he offered to see if the company UPS/DHL in China, close to them, close to the factory, could give a competitive price. Now, the downside of that, if it's low enough, it's a benefit. But that will be in US dollars. And so the better part of the funding we have is in Canadian dollars, which is down right now, about 24%. So it's, yeah, so that is not funding that we have covered. And I'm not asking anybody to do anything about it. If you are inspired to do something about it, that would be great. If you're in Canada, you can send an e-transfer to elaine.birchall@hoarding.ca. Make sure, though, in the memo, it says Bawindi, all right, or donation, so that my bookkeeper can differentiate. If you're in the States, we have a PayPal account on the website, on the funding site. If there's any way that you don't have to use that, you send us a check. Let me know that you're sending it, though, so I know what I have. Just send me an email to elaine.birchall@hoarding.ca, because PayPal takes like 4 to 5% right off the top. All right. And then you've got transaction fees and I've got transaction fees. Well, by the end of that, you're much closer to 8 or 9%. So I trust you. If you say you're going to send something, then send a check. Just send a check. All right. To either Elaine Birchall or Birchall Consulting, and number 1, Domus, DOMUS Crescent, Ottawa, OTTAWA, Ontario, ON is good enough, Canada. And our postal code, we don't have zip codes. Our postal code is K2H6A3. But if you're going to do that, could you be kind enough to send me an email just to let me know? Because sometime this next week, those quotes are going to be coming in. And then I will find a way. I know I will.
Elaine, sorry. The address again is 1 Domus, DOMUS Crescent, Ottawa, Ontario, K2H6A3.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Make it a great week, everybody. You take care.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, we are going to be, I'm starting to move forward with the adverse childhood experience workshop, which will probably be a 6 to 8 series workshop. All right. I'm just trying to get this thing launched so that I can fully focus on that. And we may even run it over the summer. Probably will be on Fridays. Yeah, probably will be on Fridays. Okay.
Good to know. Take care.
Amazing.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Elaine. It was amazing.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
I know that you focus on what you do. I put a podcast that I've really been getting a lot out of in tandem with what you're doing and some other things. It's Giovanni Dietzman on Inside Timer, and I put he does mindful self-discipline. It's on focusing and habits, and he is very easy to listen to, and he is free giving away these talks, which are going through different chapters of his book. This is he started from the beginning a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So it's just interesting.
So Ashla, can I get you to put that in the chat box?
I did. Can you see it?
Well,
I put the guy's name.
Yeah. If it's there, everybody
I can put
see
it in the chat.
Okay. Gotta
I
run.
was just saying it out loud.
Okay.
But I don't want to distract from what you do, which is why I'm here.
Yeah.
This is just something that's been, hey, anything that gets my attention and helps me to focus on what I need to do and not kill anyone or myself is key.
I agree.
By the way, great shirt or dress. That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Doesn't she look gorgeous?
I look at how do I feel today? Do I feel purple? Do I feel red? Anyway, I have to run, people. You take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Tribe.